Welcome everyone, we are the Grin brothers and we're having a nice bit of calm, quiet here sort of thing, you know. Nothing's glitching up. We destroyed a child's hopes and dreams.
What have you got for us, Cliff?
10-10.
This next one might involve a lot of legwork.
There's a lot of people you have to assassinate this time.
I still don't like Cliff. Genre, funky house.
What are we fighting,
Fighting a boy band. Also, instrument of choice, 10-10 dance routines. That's not an instrument.
1010 is NSR's robotic boy band.
Okay, so Mayday's into robots.
Well, she seemed to gush over the hologram as well.
That's
Sorry,
true.
because Quan's saying how cute she is, I think.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
But don't fret.
What's with
To be
that
fair, the only
stupid-
human in this room is Cliff here, because, you know, unless
Cliff
Cliff is just
isn't
purely
human.
a horrific skin infection covering his body.
Cliff isn't human, I refuse to accept that.
He's the most human of them all.
Holy moly!
Yeah, except he doesn't have lines in his teeth. He's just got one solid tooth.
Hey,
That's quite common, actually.
Mayday's got real teeth.
Yeah, but look at her eyes.
Right.
10-10, pronounce
Gender, male. Age, yeah. Position, charter of Metro Division District. Genre, funky house. Instrument of choice, 10-10 dance routines.
Handsome boy, people can actually just read this themselves. Yeah, so I'm just going because there's other things I want to talk about and I'm not getting everything out. For the moment, you know, the King of Games thing I started to bring up to a degree. I'm just going to like link that up above if people want to, you know, check it out sort of thing. But it's just a fun discussion of this person analysing who could possibly be the King of Games
Yeah.
based off of Kaiba's very specific rule set sort of thing. Yeah, that's her father sort of thing. First year of learning to play the piano with Papa. And we destroyed that memory.
Yep. We stole it. What is this? Ah.
Can't you just admire our lovely heroic actions?
Yep.
Every picture.
Oh, that's strange. I thought the pirate radio would be doing stuff.
Bam! Get ready to jam here at Zam FM. Vinyls. With us are some special guests who are no strangers to Zam
You can
Oh.
keep talking.
FM.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Hello,
Yeah.
people.
So I'd rather go on to something rather specific that came up the other day, and I ended up watching. And it was it was like a YouTube trope channel sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think they were called. But basically, what they ended up covering was something that I was kind of curious about myself.
hey there.
And they came up with a term for it, but I don't think one there has had a proper term. But they called it adaptive attractiveness.
Okay.
And it was basically how... Now, this is specifically going with adaptations to movies, but it can be applied to a lot of fields. About how when, for instance, a book is adapted into a movie, the actors and actresses are often been cast to be much better looking than they actually are presented in the story, sort of thing. His first example was, and there was a lot of interviews with J.K. Rowling thrown in here, because J.K. Rowling actually brought up, was with Harry Potter with Hermione.
Yeah.
Because there was people have actually done the translation of like the books of like how Hermione was described, and she was like buck-toothed, black, fizzy, curly hair sort of thing,
Yeah.
which is apparently considered a turn off for a lot of people. Curly hair. How dare they be curly?
Exactly.
Doesn't really put a damper on what we want to do as a band.
But and the interesting thing with how J.K. Rowling ended up interview with that is that she didn't, in terms of choosing to be who would be Hermione, she never actually saw
Good, okay?
Emma Watson sort of thing. She did the audition based off just hearing it.
Okay.
So she chose a person without any judgment of what they look like, sort of thing, but
Yeah.
based off what they sound. Of course, sees Emma Watson like, well, she's a much prettier girl than what I describe my character as, sort of thing. And like they said, an example as to where it kind of goes wrong with the book apparently is the
Loyalties, Mayday. So inspiring.
B is what I tend to go with.
Yeah. This is because
No, I mean that's personally what I do. It's like
Yeah.
you shouldn't hate the. It's like hating the eye for the eye sort of thing. Or then again, I, for instance, don't buy anything from Amazon because of...
Yeah.
So,
And we are literally trying to tear down this company that he's using. To be fair, it's...
your choice.
Well, you said B, so...
I don't like it, but if Zook works best with NSR drumsticks, then let him have his dopey sticks. I still think that it goes against our very agenda, but it's a small matter for now.
Glad you can see it that way, May. I was afraid I'd lose my drumsticks at some point.
There's an idea.
Okay, I guess we'll leave you to it that.
But yeah,
That's all the time we have today, folks.
and how in the scene in, I think, the fourth film, there was this scene where Hermione was going to dress up for the dance sort of thing, and it was supposed to be kind of like coming out, as really pretty, despite how she's the nerdy girl sort of thing. But of course, then it's,
Thanks for your time,
it was,
Mayday and Zook.
regardless of what you may think of her sort of thing, it was just Emma Watson was clearly pretty already in the role sort of thing. So
Yeah.
But like the Rowling interview, because it was like her with commenting with David something, the Harry Potter actor.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his last name off himself, which is usually strange because he's usually one of the actors I can actually remember. They had a conversation how they kind of expected it to happen with Rowling commenting, I know how the movies work sort of thing. I know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And there was an example the person particularly went on to was the dwarf guy in Game of Thrones, on the basis that it's not so much the look but the character as well. For instance, his drunkenness is toned down. His romance was in the books a really one-sided. He deluded himself to thinking that she loved him sort of thing, whereas they made that a lot murkier in the TV thing, where it's like she could have sort of thing. They presented him to be a better person.
Yeah.
Whereas the books, a lot of flaws tend to get toned down to make them easier
More
for people
appealing.
to and but a particular one that struck to me, because it's one that always bugged me, and it's something how I don't really care much for the idea of role models. I don't really see much point in terms of the representation of I can relate to this character sort of thing, because again, like the character that if I did have a relation to sort of thing was Kirby back when I was a kid sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm, funny enough, not a pink puffball.
Hold on, I want to terrify this woman.
Okay, yeah, she might be one of the best characters, honestly, because she has the most realistic reaction to terrorists walking around the sea.
Step closer. What about half a... Not even that.
You tried to murder a 9-year-old girl!
Oh, try? Oh, I guess the camera's turned off at that point. But one that always struck me was in regards to the adaptation of Holes. Holes. It's a book where basically there's a camp where the camp counselors are, to educate these misbehaving children, have them dig holes. And it's like the physical labour is supposed to bond them together sort of thing. But the purpose of it was that they were actually looking for this buried treasure sort of thing.
Yeah.
And using it as an excuse sort of thing. But the main character of it was fat.
Yeah.
Was very large, both height and width-wise. Because he even commented that when he was actually there, he actually ended up being the biggest kid in the entire sort of thing. And he's bullied because he's fat at school, sort of thing. And ironically, they make a point about how he's bullied by the smallest kid at his school.
Huh.
There's a lot of things like that, which, him being, fat was, the point of why he was bullied and such, and it was kind of like the whole sort of like base point of, his character sort of thing on an early stage. Of course, by the end of the series, because he'd been digging so many holes, and of course this plot of like stopping the bad guys all that sort of thing, he'd been digging all the holes, he'd actually become quite fit sort of thing, because of course he was a big fat character who'd just done a bunch of exercise, so...
What?
Unicorn? How adorable! Hello there.
No.
Zook, look. Isn't it just precious?
It's terrifying.
A unicorn? But they don't exist.
They do now.
First! It's really stuffy in here!
I was going to say, you can see Pocket. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. But, in the film, though, he's played by at the den a child, Shia LaBeouf,
Ah.
who was always very skinny, very lanky. The only thing that's right is that he's really tall for a child.
Yeah.
But he's like the complete opposite. He's not even like a fat kid who could bulk up sort of thing. He is really stick thin sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that always struck me as particularly annoying. I guess, again, because you don't really, I guess, one of the few times I related to a character sort of thing is like you didn't get many of the sort of fat characters sort of thing.
Yeah.
At least that were the protagonists sort of thing.
And even if you do, they usually, made a joke out of. Just trying to find.
But again, I'm not usually one for that sort of like, reflecting on a character or relatability or anything like that. It's usually not what I go for in, things. But that, Holes was like one of the few times where the fact that the character was fat, I kind of liked.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, like, so, that, it was interesting, viewing that sort of point, but it is something that always bugged me, particularly when, the matter of the character actually is important. Like, again, in the case of, whilst I haven't watched Game of Thrones or anything, it is kind of important the fact that the character does have those flaws.
Yeah.
So, you have to literally change their personality sort of thing. And, again, with the Harry Potter thing, the person explained how it also went beyond changes like that, because the director of, I think it was the director of one of the leads in the Harry Potter thing, mentioned that his favourite character from the books was Hermione.
Yeah.
And that affected things in that Hermione ended up taking a lot of Ron's lines.
Yeah, which made Ron look dumber than he actually was.
Yeah. And a lot of elements where, Hermione was done better. Like, it was apparently a staple characteristic of her in the books, is apparently she, despite how intelligent she is, when she's in a panicky situation, she just stops thinking.
Yeah.
And ironically,
this is hurting my eye.
And ironically, Ron works better under pressure.
Yeah.
But they took a lot of Ron's elements and gave it to Hermione.
Well, it was like...
But that's because one of the higher-ups really likes Hermione as a character. And it's like...
Hermione's my favourite. Alright, buddy. Can you just, like, not...
I know I'm not exactly a big fan of Harry Potter, again, because I was bullied on the basis of looking like Harry Potter, so I never quite got into the book. Also, I had some flaws with its concept. Like, as someone, I think I may have mentioned this, but as someone pointed out, it would have actually been far more fitting if Voldemort got stopped by someone just pulling out a gun.
It would have been hilarious.
A muggle. Well. It should, like, ironically, despite how it's not been doing well from what I hear, the Fantastic Beasts kind of got it better with having an actual human involved, given so much of the tensions are involved about humans.
Yeah.
And, racism is human, so it makes no sense when there's no human involved. And from what I gathered so far, the human character just seems to be everyone's favourite in the Fantastic Beasts movie as well.
I like him. At least in the first two. That's just an observation.
But, yeah, like,
I've not watched the most recent Fantastic Beasts.
I heard it ain't great. I only know of him from the pitch meetings. But yeah, like, it's, I'm sure I could think of others which have that situation. I mean, in general, I think, a lot of books to movies, I prefer, like, the book version.
Yeah.
The one exception that I found definitely was Spiderwick Chronicles, where I found that the movie was actually better than the books. The other example, I'd say, wherein adaptation helps so much, comic books.
Yeah.
Comic books are just... when you get down to comic books, because of the way they work, they're better of being adapted to cartoons and movies than they are actually done as comic books.
Yeah.
It feels more... Because of the nature of how they're done, with so many different writers and how long they last, they're just like this general... Oh. They got barriers. Oh. There we go. That was annoying.
Don't really know what we did there.
I almost died.
That's nothing new.
Oh my gosh, how?
Oh, actually, that's... Well, no, it's nothing to actually... Ow, I walked into that.
There's not many reflecting projectiles,
No.
which is kind of annoying. Because ironically, that was the good part of the boss battle we just had, sort of thing.
Yeah.
What was I mentioning? The adaptation sort of thing. What was it? There was something along that line.
Spiderweb Chronicles.
But yeah, and the comic book sort of thing also help a lot from the adaptation to the cartoons and such. Oh, that reminds me. I like how even back in like the older era, wow, you really can't do the dash thing. You have to just jump straight away, I guess. Yeah. That worked.
What hit you? Oh.
Oh gosh, he hits rapid fire.
Yeah.
But I can't see him.
We don't have any ranged projectiles.
Yeah, and I can't see him because the camera of this game is awful. Oh wait, no, that's... Wait, have I still got my healing move? If I had that replaced.
No, you don't have it. I took it off.
Then how did I use it just now?
You weren't. You were shooting out projectiles.
Oh. I'm assuming there's some sort of like rhythm thing. Again, the HD rumble should be able to replicate this, but I'm not getting any rumble.
No.
Like that... Oh, and I fell off, yep.
But you didn't die.
Is that guy still there?
No.
Okay. Wow, I survived! But yeah, it's funny to know that even back in like the sort of like silver and golden eras, Superman comic writers were aware of Superman's weird fetish, I guess, for anyone with the initials LL.
What?
Every Superman love interest has LL. Because like there's Lois Lane and Lara, I can't remember her last name, but also begins with an L.
Yeah.
He apparently dated a mermaid, also with two L's.
A mermaid.
There was a character from like the Superman.
These are cars. We're on a road.
Yes.
I didn't notice.
There was also in the Superboy thing with the future group sort of thing. There was a couple characters with LL who Superman had interest in sort of thing. He even commented with the mermaid character that he was infatuated with, sort of like thing that she even has the initials LL. It's like Superman, what?
Oh god.
But it's like, you do realise your arch nemesis also has LL, right? Mm.
Oh yeah, it's Lex Luthor, ain't it?
I'm being sniped at from the...
Okay.
I can't... You can... It's annoying that you can't choose to target those other enemies with your projectile.
Projectiles?
Yeah.
It would be nice.
Oh. Yep, I'm dead. I'm not dead.
Okay. That was a cliff. Ow.
Seriously, how strong are these guys? Have we not improved at all? We do no extra damage to them at all.
No. I'm dead.
Well, I'm glad people don't come to watch us for competent gameplay.
Yeah.
This car can't make up its mind.
Yeah, these are terrible drivers.
Again, I do find it hilarious that jump attack is just the most useful thing.
Nope, nothing over there. The jump attack is insane. What?
Oh, I'm dead. Press A. Oh, why? Why? Why?
Why?
That'd be us.
Why?
Well, along with Angel Aiko's nice cover art, at least Beerbop will also be getting a lot of attention through her interruption artwork. Go check out Beerbop's channel. Not sure if she's still doing it, but at the moment of time, she's playing Spyro and oh great, I've forgotten the name of it, but it's a cool little life sim game where you're on like a little, giant animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. Also, like, comment, subscribe to us. Please.
We're only like 21 minutes in, but...
Oh.
You know what, let's have a short
subscribe.
episode, yeah. Oh, okay, so I was going to do the interruption thing, that's why I'm mentioning Beerbop.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
Because, let's at least finish the rest of this level in this episode.
Do we have to?
We've only recorded 3 episodes, even if we do stop, so... You offered this!
Yeah! I didn't think my PC parts would arrive as early as they did.
So, see you in a bit!
Yeah.
Woo!
Like, comment, subscribe.
And we're back! We're back, and hopefully this will be it, although we're dying, so...
We are both dying.
Yeah,
Pretty
so
horrible.
let's continue! So I guess quickly, Oh. Oh, heal me. There you go. Figured we'd get out of the way.
Ow.
Oh, what the... Did that not hit him at all?
Yo.
I just don't get it.
I don't. Sometimes the camera is way too...
Oh.
Oh, you can't jump. Hold on. Oh.
There we go. Maybe we should do that whole passive heal of standing still.
I think that only applies during bosses.
There we go. Yeah, that trident is very useful in just avoiding the fight, effectively. I'm used to this as in these co-op games. There we go.
Seems to be if we can pick each other up before we touch the ground.
Then yeah, we can stop it. So yeah, the King of Games thing, because I might as well, because we haven't got that much long. There we go. Just skip that. Well, of course, Yugi didn't get the title until after he'd beaten Pegasus, sort of thing. But even if he did, he loses the King of Games titles to Pegasus in that first sort of time duel sort of thing. But then he gets back. So like most of it's normal, except then the problem is. Yugi had a loss pretty early on after getting the official King of Games title. Because he duels Rebecca.
Oh, yeah.
Which he surrenders in it. Oh. Press. No, go up.
You want to try this?
Ah! It worked! What an
There we go.
It worked. So Rebecca becomes the king or queen of games at that point.
Yeah.
But then she doesn't lose again until she fights, was it Valion?
Yeah.
And this is funny because it's the same arc where the reason that Kaiba's complaining so much about it is that Yugi lost his King of Games to Raphael, but in this case, Yugi wasn't King of Games at this point.
No.
So instead, Rebecca and Duke lose to Valion, so Valion becomes King of Games, and then Joey beats Valion, becoming the King of Games, where he then duels Mai, and then Joey, of course, in this duel, the second time in a row, dies.
Yeah.
Which is why he loses a duel, because dying seems to be his loss of duels. So Mai becomes the King of Games. Then there's two scenarios. Either Mai lost to Raphael in a duel, and so Yugi becomes King of Games and keeps that title, or Raphael, because there's no duel actually shown, they just say that Raphael took Mai's soul. Raphael just immediately shot Mai straight away before a duel sort of thing. Because they just kind of wait, we can't have Mai actually beat Raphael. Yugi has to have his revenge match. But I think it would have been funny if Mai had actually won that duel.
Yeah.
There was the fun example of, look, Yugi's actually changing his deck. He's using an extra deck to change his deck specifically for his opponent.
Honestly, the idea that Mai just got shot is also hilarious.
But basically, Mai is effectively the king of duels. Except the end credit scene, because Mai doesn't have another duel after that, is her dueling the Paradox Brothers. So there's two branches. Either Mai is forever king of duels from that point on, or she loses to the Paradox Brothers. So the Paradox Brothers become the king of games, until they then lose to Jaden and Cyrus, who become the king of games together. Then Cyrus loses to Dimitri, the guy who steals Yugi's deck and tries to pretend to be the king of games, making him the actual king of games. Until he then loses to Jaden, which unites the king of games titles. Then Jaden has Then there's another branching path line where either Kaiba grabs Jaden, Cyrus, I think Hasselberry and Chaz.
Yeah.
From a hot spring, fully dresses them, and then duels them as Kaiba Man, which he then proceeds to win. Or Jaden just dreamt that. So either Kaiba went out of his way to attack a small child in a hot spring to steal the King of Games title, or Jaden dreamt that he remains King of Games until he then loses to Cyrus in a 10-second online duel thing. So Cyrus becomes King of Games, but then Cyrus and Hasselberry lose to these two mercenary guys, but then those two mercenary guys are then murdered. So the title goes back to Cyrus unless their graves say King of Games for these two murdered individuals. Then Cyrus loses to Zane, who becomes the King of Games, who loses to Yubel, who becomes the King of Games, who then fuses with Jaden, making him the King of Games because he's one with the being, and so Jaden remains King of Games.
Except we never saw who won the final fight.
Yeah, which is then the other branching timeline.
Well, that's an interesting chain reaction.
It's also funny, King of Games, so we're going to do something other than card games, because it doesn't really feel like an appropriate title anymore. King of Cards, maybe, but...
King of Cards. So Yugi and Kaiba sat down to play a game of poker.
So yeah, we're to 10-10.
Yep.
We shall proceed to glitch out on 10-10.
Yep.
And you'll see us find 10-10 for the next 2 or 3 episodes.
Like, comment, subscribe to see what horrible things go wrong against this robotic boy band.
Who stole the name of a Naruto character, clearly the most competent ninja.
Yeah. Now, we all know the most competent ninja is truly Kiba.
I only have one move because it's perfect!
Has never successfully used it on anyone.
I ripped a Sukon and Udon in half, yeah, and they got back up! Cheerio!
Bye.